Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Soothing Sounds with Megan. Today I'm going to be reading a text called the Agushaya poem. This is kind of like a hymn to the goddess Ishtar, and it is been translated by Benjamin R. Foster. The version I'm reading is in his anthology of Akkadian literature called Before the Muses. I'll put bibliographic information in the description so you can go and track it down for yourself. It's a fantastic book. If you have the money to spare and you're interested in Akkadian literature, I'd highly recommend it. It has so much stuff. And he's got some excellent, very informative notes at the beginning of each text, and some fantastic footnotes if you feel like following up any of the things that he says. So any information that I give after the reading is directly from Benjamin Foster. None of this is my own original thought. I'm just sharing his wisdom with you. So, without further ado, let's get going. Let me praise the greatest one, the warrior among the gods. The daughter of Ningal's might and fame let me extol. Ishtar, the greatest one, the warrior among the gods. The daughter of Ningal, let me tell of her might. Her grandeur is manifest, her ways hard to fathom. She is always in battle, cunning in her stratagem. She dances around gods and kings in her manliness. She is the preeminent of goddesses. The praises of Ishtar let me sing. She holds in her grasp all divine authority. She bestows it wherever she wills. Ishtar holds in her grasp the lead line of the peoples. The goddesses heed her command. Young men are hacked off as if for spear poles. There is a certain hero. She is unique. Ishtar is surpassing. She knows how to smite down. Her celebration is the melee, staging the dance of battle. She comes to grips with heroes, taking none by the hand. She leads off with the most valorous. Ishtar's celebration is the melee, staging the dance of battle. She comes to grips with heroes, taking none by the hand. She leads off with the most valorous. Frenzy in battle, passion in strife was shown forth as her portion. The royal sceptre, the throne, the tiara are given to her. All of them are her due. He gave her bravery, fame, and might. He surrounded her in abundance with lightning bolts flashing. Once again, he added to her uncanny frightfulness. He had made her wear awesome radiance, ghastliness, valor. As for her, she felt that valor. In her heart, she schemed battle. In the dwelling of the leader Ea, look out for her terror. She is more fearsome than a bull, her clamour like its raging. In her might she set forth, turning not a hair. At her uproar, Ea, the wise god, became afraid. Ea became enraged with her. Hear me, great gods. Ishtar is wary. Let her be trusty. Let her have muscle. Let her raise riot, be always ready to fight. Let her be fierce. Let her hair be extraordinary, more luxuriant than an orchard. Let her be strong of frame. Let her complain, she must be strong. Let her gasp for breath, she shall not tire. Let her not hold back her cry, day nor night. Let her rage. The gods assembled, debated. They could not do it. They replied these words to the leader Ea. You are the one suited to do this thing. Who else could bring about what you cannot? He heeded the words they answered him. Ea the wise scraped out 7 times the dirt of his nails. He took spittle in his hand. Ea the wise has created Saltu. God Ea has straightway set to his task. He is making Saltu that she fight with Ishtar. She is powerful in her form, monstrous in her proportions. She is artful as none could rival. She is a fighter. Discord is her form. Monstrous are her proportions. She is artful as none could rival. She is a fighter. Her flesh is battle, the melee her hair. She is surpassing, she is fierce. She has extraordinary strength. Saltu is girded with combat for clothes. Her clamour is born of a deluge. She is strange, terrifying to behold. Raging, she takes her stand in the midst of the depths. The words that come from her mouth go round about her. Ea the Lord made ready to speak to her. To Saltu, whom he created, he says, "Keep quiet, listen. Pay heed to what I say, hear my orders. What I tell you, do. There is a certain goddess, whose greatness is surpassing beyond all goddesses. Strange and cunning is her handiwork. Her name is Irnina, she is mighty in mail. The supreme lady, the capable one, daughter of Ningal. I have created you to humiliate her. In my cleverness I gave to your stature valour and might in abundance. Now be off. Go off to her private quarters. You should be girded with awful splendour. Bring her out, you there. She will rush out to you. She will speak to you. She will demand, 'Now then, woman, explain your behaviour.' But you, though she be furious, show no respect to her. Answer her never a word to ease her feelings. What advantage shall she have of you? You are the creature of my power. Speak out proudly what is on your tongue, and as much again before her." Has Saltu taken her stand, while Ea, in the midst of the depths, gives her might? So the extraordinary of form dispatched Saltu, drove her to insults, contempt, and calamity. Ea the wise, whose reasoning is extraordinary, goes on to put yet a word right to her feelings. The sign of Ishtar, the queen, he gives her. It is Ishtar indeed. She is braver than all other goddesses. He makes her known her grandeur. He well describes to her that prideful self. This, lest you. She is the divine princess. Her commands are mighty. She is the mistress whose way none has barred. She is surpassing. She is unique in herself. She is grander than you are. Stir no step abroad. Her fury and anger, like the welling up of the sea, will overcome you. Your speech will. Inscrutable are the ways of the capable mistress of the people. Saltu flew into a rage, her face altered horribly. She turned, she was lordly. Like a fugitive, truth, did not know. Come now, give a command, prepare. In this way, the signs of her strength, find out all about her, learn of her haunts, bring me her signs, recount to me her behaviour. The giver of orders, the tried and true Ninshubo, wise, strong, hero. He went out to the depth. He went alone to face her. He looked twice when he saw the exceedingly great one. He fell silent. She is bizarre in her actions. She behaves unreasoningly. In her form she is mighty. She makes many cries for battle. She is adorned with awesomeness. In her onslaught she is terrible. She is murderous, bullying, vicious. Has the young man and the maid clamour. So did she learn her sign. Angrily the most capable of the gods, the all-powerful, took the sign. Proudly in her might, fiercely she drew herself up. The warrior Ishtar, the most capable of the gods, the all-powerful, proudly in her might, fiercely she drew herself up. In her greatness she grinds up her enemies. She turns not back. She is the greatest among goddesses. She is like a young man. She says a word, proudly she speaks. These are the signs of her might. Agushaya, the capable lady, to Ea did say, "Why did you create Saltu against me, who is of mouth? The daughter of Ningal is unique. You made her enormity. Saltu has set her clamour against me. Let her return to her lair." Ea made ready to speak, and said to Agushaya, hero of the gods, "As soon as you said it, then I certainly did it. You were driving me to it, and caused delight at your having done this. The reason Saltu was made and created is that people of future days might know about us. Let a whirling dance be established among the feast days of the year. Look about at all the people. Let them dance in the street, hear their clamour. See for yourself the intelligent things they do. Learn their motivation. As for the king who heard this song, your praise, the sign of your valour, Hammurabi, in whose reign this song, my praise of you, was made, May he be granted life forever. Let me praise Ishtar, queen of the gods, Agushaya's might as the capable lady. Rapacious Saltu, strange of splendour, whom Ea the leader created. The sign of her might, I, he, made all the people hear. I, he, have made fair her glorification. I, he, gave her fame worthy of her. The lioness Ishtar quieted, her heart was appeased. While the Agushaya poem is one of my favourite literary compositions from Mesopotamia, it doesn't exist in a terribly complete form. You may have noticed as I was reading there's a lot of ellipses, there are a lot of gaps in the text, and the way I read it kind of glossed over some quite large chunks that are missing in the text, so it may not have made as much sense as it could have done. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and go through the story to kind of round out the picture for you so you can really appreciate the composition as a whole. So the text opens with a section of praise to the goddess Ishtar, who, in case you don't know, is the goddess of war, of love, and is one of the more famous deities from the ancient Near East. So it opens with a nice kind of hymn of praise to her, celebrating her warlike nature and her power. And what happens is that Ishtar is so disruptive and makes so much noise and causes so much aggression, she upsets the other gods. And not quite in retribution, but in response to that, the god Ea creates Ishtar's double and names her Saltu, which literally means discord. And Saltu is there to kind of act as a mirror for Ishtar so she can see exactly how awful she is. So what happens is that the poet makes Ea praise Ishtar so extravagantly that Saltu gets jealous, effectively, and Ea says that Ishtar is far too dangerous for Saltu to fight. So in a jealous rage, Saltu rushes off in search of Ishtar to fight her and to prove her superiority. This is where the large gap comes in the text. We don't quite know how this happens, but it seems that Ishtar hears about or sees Saltu and becomes curious as to what's going on and who this person coming against her is. So she sends her messenger Ninshubo out to find out about this enemy, this person coming for Ishtar. Ninshubo goes out and sees Saltu and comes back with a report for Ishtar. Very cleverly, Foster note, he doesn't describe Saltu's physical appearance, which we get the feeling is quite terrifying and probably not terribly attractive, but describes how unreasonable and how aggressive and terrible she is. This section of text is actually quite interesting, so I'm just going to pull it up so you can see it. So it seems like Ninshubo has developed some kind of anxious stutter, having seen Saltu and seen how terrifying she is. And this is actually Foster's own interpretation of the Akkadian. So the cuneiform actually preserves what some people have called scribal errors. And as you can see, there's a potential scribal error pretty much every line in this speech, which is quite unusual. And Foster chooses instead to interpret this not as a scribal error, but as a deliberate rendition of an anxious tremor or a fearful stutter in Ninshubo's voice caused by Saltu's terrifying appearance. I quite like that interpretation. Obviously, I can't go back in time and ask the scribe exactly what he was doing here, but it's an interesting thing to think about. So following Ninshubo's report to Ishtar, Ishtar gets incredibly angry, and then we have another break in the text. And when the poem resumes, Ishtar is kind of yelling at Ea, asking why he created this monster. She says, "The daughter of Ningal is unique. I am unique. Why did you create my double? Let her go away. I don't want her here." And Ea's response is, as soon as you asked me to, Saltu disappeared. I sent her back. And he says that he created Saltu to show Ishtar exactly how terrible she looked, kind of to get her just to calm down. And then the final section of the text is Ea telling Ishtar that in her honor there's going to be a festival, a dance established, a whirling dance established. And this is actually a thing that did happen. Foster's footnote here footnote number 1 on page 105, says that the whirling dance or mock combat the people perform is a memorial to Agushaya, and mock combats were in fact held in honour of Ishtar. This is possibly an etiology for that ritual. And finally, the very last section of this text is the poet or Ea. It's a little bit ambiguous here, which is what I wanted to show you. The poet or Ea praising Ishtar, praising Agushaya as the most powerful goddess. And what we see here, the I, he, and then these two lines here, the Akkadian actually, again, this is all according to Foster, the Akkadian leaves it ambiguous as to whether this is a first or a third person verb. It kind of leaves it up to the listener to decide whether the poet is speaking here or whether it's the god, which is, I know it's interesting to me to see all the little literary tools and techniques that ancient scribes used. I enjoy it. So, thank you everyone. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And I want to just quickly take this opportunity to say that if you haven't checked out our Patreon, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a look. We are raising money, not for ourselves. We're raising money to fund a summer research project by a PhD student for summer 2019. The idea is that we receive applications and we kind of narrow it down ourselves and then give our Patreons, give our viewers the chance to vote on what research they would like to see funded, kind of like a America's Got Talent, but more academic. And if that doesn't sound exciting, then I don't know what does. So, take a look, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next week for another Soothing Sounds with Megan.